Welcome back, and we're talking about farm safety today, and Dave Sprigg from Ag for Life has joined us again, and we're talking about all the partners in Ag for Life, and who are they, first of all?
Yep.
I think we've all forgotten that, but remind us again, who are they?
Well, our founders in Ag for Life are some of the best known companies in Alberta, and some of the more influential companies in Alberta. So you would know their names: ATB Financial, Agrium, Atco, Penwest, TransCanada Corporation, UofA, and Rocky Mountain Equipment.
Fantastic. Now, we're going to look at a little clip here in a moment from UofA. Tell us about UofA's involvement with Ag for Life. How did that start? How has it developed? What kind of things are they doing with Ag for Life?
Yeah. Well, UofA is a wonderful partner for us, and I think most people know UofA in their over 100-year history in Alberta. They're in a lot of the rural communities, of course. Everybody sees them on a day-by-day basis when they're buying their goods that they need for the farm and the ranch. And I think the thing that makes UofA a wonderful partner for Ag for Life is that farm and rural safety is in their DNA. It is something that is just very, very important to them. They live it, they breathe it every day, and it shows through in the interactions that we have with UofA.
So as an agribusiness, they have probably a commitment at the corporate level to ensure employee safety in the workplace. But not only that, they have a number of representatives that are out in the field interacting with the public, certainly the agricultural public. And there's a few lessons to be learned from that, I guess.
Well, I think the first thing people need to always remember is that all of our founders, in fact, a lot of their employees live and work in the rural and the farm communities. So they're not just employees of our founders, they're community members. And I think that attachment makes our founders want to ensure that they look after their employees, those people that live and work, and make the community stronger. So there's a real natural connection from the company to their employees to the rural community.
No, indeed. And we had a chance to spend some time with Jim Donner from Donnybrook Farms up in the Innisfil area. And he told us, well, he gave us a little bit of a piece on tractor safety and actually traffic safety. Yeah. So what people probably aren't aware of when you're handling a large piece of equipment on the highway, that stopping distances are different, stopping dynamics are different, and you're dealing with slow-moving vehicles, and those vehicles are also turning. Yeah. So he's taken a really interesting approach of what he's talking about, where and we actually did this in last winter when it was very cold outside, and really showed how difficult it is for drivers to see what's going on when a tractor merges into, in this case, a secondary highway. Yeah. So we're going to go to that clip right now and have a look how that one turned out.
Well, when we're moving farm equipment from field to field, we're dealing with equipment that's wider than half the road, so you're hanging over into the ditch, and that's dangerous for tipping. You're dealing with a piece of equipment, a tractor, air tank, and a seed tool that's over 80 feet long. So when it's only moving 20 miles an hour and a vehicle comes up behind it at 50, things happen pretty fast. Now every mile or so there's roads on the grid that you can pull off and get partway off the highway and let people pass. So it becomes an issue of making people aware that piece of equipment is big, it's cumbersome. Ability to move fast on the road and get out of the way in case of an accident happening. Visibility behind is restricted in a lot of cases. So we run into issues where people from urban areas are not familiar with the rural country, that are going into a recreation area or whatever, are moving quickly and trying to get there to enjoy their weekend or their time away. And I think for the most part, ourselves, we try and pull over as much as we can and let those vehicles pass. Be patient. Equipment we only move maybe 4 miles at the very most. There's some farmers who are moving 20, 30 miles between different pieces of land. And those guys that are moving the greater distance have bigger equipment, take up that much more room. I think a farmer is more than willing to pull over and let those people pass and give them that courtesy. But even at that, we're dealing with issues that people just aren't aware. And it isn't an ignorance of what's out there or anything. It's just not being familiar with it. It's a piece of equipment that they are not familiar with.
Jim made some really good points in that video. One was people, especially urban drivers, are not familiar with the equipment, how slow it moves. And when we went out and visited with Jim that day, it was a cold winter day. He was just about to feed some cows. And, we see this a little bit in the winter, but, we forget there's also a harvest and seeding season coming up, certainly a seeding season coming up. And there's going to be a lot more larger equipment on the road. And then certainly at harvest time, we're probably even seeing combines on the road. Mm-hmm. In our ATCO piece, you'll see larger equipment being moved on the roads as well. So road transportation is a pretty serious undertaking for any producer to go out and get their job done during the day. So what are your thoughts on Jim's piece?
Yeah, well, I thought it was very interesting. There was a couple of words that I thought come out of his talk, and respect, courtesy, and communication seem to me to be the real key messages there. When you're not familiar with what might be happening on a rural road, it really means you have to respect that you're in a different environment, and it may not be what you're used to in driving in the city. So I think you have to respect the fact that it's different, and maybe your level of courtesy is a little bit different, recognizing that the machineries, they're big, they can't turn on a dime, so you have to be that much more courteous of that. And I think the other big piece of this is around communicating that message so that when people are on the road together, they understand it's a different dynamic.
Oh, definitely. And there's one thing that's really not brought up with just this example. I mean, you see Jim's driving a tractor on the highway. Well, a lot of farmers, certainly a lot of producers out there, have Class 1 commercial driver's license. Well, that implies that you're a professional driver, and you have to go through some kind of professional training and testing to be able to drive an 18-wheeler, for example, a straight truck or a semi-trailer or whatever. And a lot of farmers have bee trains and cattle transports. Well, I think we need to remember that these are professional drivers out there. And, if we're in a little four-wheeler car or four-wheeler truck, we've got to remember that, you are interacting and need to be courteous to them as well. So a very good point. Yeah. And we're not dealing with people that don't know how to drive or really unfamiliar. We're dealing with professional drivers here and people whose profession is to transport goods in what they do. So,
and I agree, and I think it's different maybe than what an urban driver is used to. It's not wrong, it's different.
It's different.
And so you have to adapt to those changing circumstances.
Absolutely. When we come back, we're going to have a look at how ATCO deals with moving equipment.